Act 1 of One Fool Makes Many by Antonio de Solis, translated by Henry Richard Vassall, Holland. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Dramatis Personae.
Don Lewis, read by Greg Giordano.
Don Diego, read by Adrian Stevens.
Don Cosmo Mendieta, read by Todd.
Martin, Don Lewis's servant, read by Andrew Gantz.
Juancho, Don Cosmo's servant, read by Alan Mapstone.
Donna Anna, sister of Don Diego, read by Annie Mars.
Donna Isabella, sister of Don Cosmo, read by Jen Broda.
Juana, Donna Anna's maid, read by Wendy Katz Hiller.
Ines, Donna Isabella's maid, read by Sonia.
Stage directions, read by Larry Wilson. Scene, Madrid. One Fool Makes Many. Act 1, The Street. Enter Don Luis and Martin.
I tell you, Juana was with her. I could not be mistaken, notwithstanding her veil.
Juana, you are jesting.
No, on the contrary, I tell you very seriously that I expect you to assist me in my pursuit, and that I have been impatient for your return, that I might set you to work in my service.
You are so seldom in earnest that I never know when to believe what you say. Hang me if I think any man ever served for such wages as I do. Wherever I have gone, I have always passed for a wit. But now, unluckily for me, I have got a master who is a greater wit than myself, and when I have made a very good joke and expect for certain that he will give me at least a coat for my reward, he pays me in my own coin with a jest still better than mine was. But truly I begin to weary of such unsubstantial payments.
I tell you again that I saw Juana with that beautiful lady, of whom I am so desperately enamored. And as I know she used to be an acquaintance of yours, I think you may easily find out from her who my unknown charmer may be.
Juana and I were very good friends once upon a time. I don't know where she is now, nor whether she still has any kindness for me. Only I heard she had got into some new place, and should that happen to be with this same enchanted princess, the affair is in as hopeful a way as you can desire.
She told me she should go about this hour to St. Joaquin's church, so here have I posted myself, to await the approach of my divine enslaver.
I have no patience to hear you talk so. Have you not always protested to me that you did not care a rush for love and all his allurements? And now to see you caught by a pair of sparkling eyes, just for all the world as any other man might be? What credit do you suppose you gain by contradicting yourself in such a manner? Either act according to your professions, or profess according to your actions.
Look you, Martin, I have never denied the existence of love, nor pretended any general exemption from the power of beauty. I only laugh at those foolish fellows who always think it incumbent upon them to be languishing, because it is the fashion, who affect a passion without feeling it, and value themselves on the tenderness of their hearts, when it would be better become them to lament the softness of their heads. But even while I ridicule the absurdity of such lovers as these, I freely confess that I have not always been totally unacquainted with the emotions to which they pretend, and that I have more than once found a little sigh or two stealing across my breast, without well knowing how it came there. However, much more than that will be requisite to convince me, even now, that there is any real love in my case. I must try first whether my passion has any stability, for if it does not last me a long time, I shall never consider it as more than a fancy.
Other men fall in love because they cannot help it, but you talk so learnedly on the subject that I believe you do it out of a set purpose.
Certainly I do.
But since I had not the luck to be with you when you met with this adventure, don't you intend to give me some account of it?
You shall hear the whole story.
I shall be glad to know at whose cost Mrs. Juana is living at this present time.
And I shall be glad to have an opportunity of talking of her beautiful mistress.
Now then for your tale.
It is a very extraordinary one.
So much the better.
I strolled one morning into the park, for want of something better to do with myself, and having wandered up and down for some time, looking at all the ladies who were walking there, at last I met with one, such an one, Martin, as you must see some time or another, for it passes my wit to describe her. She was positively the handsomest woman my eyes ever beheld, and I was so much struck with her beauty that I could not forbear accosting her. She answered me, and I engaged her in a long conversation, and in my life I never met with a creature who possessed so much wit, accompanied with such elegance of manners. I would have followed her, but she forbade me, softening the prohibition, however, with a promise that I should see her again in the same place. After she had left me, her charms ran very much in my mind. However, I neither hung my head nor lost my sleep, like the true lovers of ancient times. The next day she met me again, and so she did the day after. Yet I could not possibly discover who she was, for she told me repeatedly that I should lose her forever if I found it out. But yesterday, Martin, being the 4th day of my faithful passion, great minds may ever be known by their constancy in love, she broke her appointment, and I walked by myself in a cursed bad humour till late in the evening, when, as it was growing dusk, I took a fancy to call upon my old friend Don Diego, and make him the confidant of my amour. But just as I was going to knock at his door, a female voice called to me from a window in the next house. I obeyed the summons very readily, my thoughts being too full of one lady to allow me to recollect that there were any others in the world. To my infinite disappointment, however, this proved to be Donna Isabella, she who has for some time past amused herself with giving me to understand she is in love with me, while I have done nothing to merit so great an honor, except by having too much modesty ever to aspire to it.
I thought she lived in the quarter of Atocha.
So she did, but she has lately, it seems, removed to a lower apartment of the house from which she spoke to me. She accosted me with many of those novel and witty phrases with which forsaken damsels reproach the ingratitude of false-hearted lovers, such as, "Who would have thought it? Is this the return I have deserved? But all men are alike deceitful." At last, for the sake of a little variety, she began to insinuate to me that she was jealous of Don Diego's sister, upon whose account she supposed it must be that I visited so often at his house. It was all to no purpose to assure her that I had never seen nor spoken with a gentlewoman in my whole life, and our quarrel was rising very high, when up came a lady in a veil, pulled me gently by the cloak, and whispered to me that she was my park acquaintance. I instantly followed her, thinking no more of Donna Isabella. It was by that time quite dark, and my conductress stopped as soon as she had turned the first corner, and addressed me with some expressions of jealousy in her turn. However, I soon satisfied her, and had obtained from her a promise that she would meet me to-day at 4 o'clock, in this very spot, where I now am waiting for her, when our conference was interrupted by two men, muffled up in long cloaks, who watched the lady so attentively that I felt myself obliged to ask them what they meant by it. They answered me by drawing their swords. Mine was presently out to receive them, and a desperate battle, I suppose, we should have had, if some men had not come up to part us. My two antagonists then slunk away, as if unwilling to be known. The lady was gone, and I found myself left alone in the middle of the street. Such, Martin, was my adventure, which you cannot choose but allow to be as strange as I promised you should find it, whether you consider the fair incognita who triumphs over my liberty, or the other damsel who pesters me with her love and her jealousy, or the two bravos who thought to begin their acquaintance with me by running me through the body, or, lastly, myself, who support all my fortunes with so even a mind, that, if the lady whom I love keeps her appointment, I shall be glad. If she keeps it not, I shall be very well contented. If she whom I detest continues to persecute me, I shall laugh at her. If in her indignation she gives me up, I shall think myself the more her debtor. If my two fighting friends return, they shall find me ready to encounter them. If they stay away and are quiet, I shall not go out of my road to seek them. For in the whole course of our lives, Martin, there is no one thing which can amuse us so little as dying, and therefore I have no thought of killing myself with care an hour before my time.
I must certainly allow, sir, that this is a very odd story. But whatever wisdom you may display in all these fine sayings, I can't say you show quite so much in your actions.
How so?
Why, look you, sir, is not Donna Isabella very much in love with you?
So it should appear.
Do you not owe her many obligations?
I neither wish to deny nor to requite them.
Is she not very handsome?
So.
If you will not allow her any other beauty, can you deny her that of having 3,000 ducats a year? An admirable cosmetic in these days, and such a one as might clear up the complexion of the black gentleman himself.
I allow all this to be as you have stated it.
Then how can you pretend to any discretion, while you despise a woman endowed with such admirable qualities, and spend your time like a blockhead in pursuit of another, of whom the best account you can give is that you saw her yesterday?
You know it would not be possible for me to act otherwise with regard to Donna Isabella, since she is courted by my friend Don Diego.
Very conscientious, truly. Yet I do not quite perceive under what obligation you lie to give her up to him, when you stood so high in her favor before ever he had set eyes upon her.
True, but he, falling in love with her, without knowing that I possessed any share of her good graces, chose me for his confidant, and I, being already in the mind to break off with her, said nothing to discourage him from paying his addresses to her. Besides, let Donna Isabella have what attraction she will, I would not for the world connect myself with such a fellow as her brother.
I confess Don Cosmo is a most superlative blockhead, a Biscayner newly transplanted from his native soil, one whose arguments are in his sword when you wish to be quiet, and in his heels when you are in a humor to quarrel. A very great man in his own conceit, because he is his father's son and heir, insomuch that even the reverend fear in which he stands of every man who can fight him can scarcely restrain him from giving himself the airs which he considers as suitable to his illustrious family.
Then prithee tell me, whether, so long as Donna Isabella shall possess a brother so insupportable, any consideration upon earth ought to induce me to marry her.
I confess I should not recommend him to you for a friend, Yet I don't see but he might do well enough for a brother-in-law.
Hold! I think I see yonder Don Diego escorting two ladies, and they turn this way.
What if it should be your enchanted damsel of the park, coming hither in quest of you?
Very likely it may be. I told her she would find me near the fields of St. Joaquin.
Enter Donna Isabella and Inez, veiled, and Don Diego.
Don Luis,
Don Diego!
I wish to speak with you. These ladies?
Speak low.
They discourse apart. Inez, aside to Donna Isabella.
Would anybody but yourself, madam, have ever thought of trusting so much to a veil as to employ Don Diego, of all the men in the world, to find Don Luis for you, and to take the trouble of coming so far on purpose to deliver you up to his rival?
Donna Isabella, aside to Inez.
It is impossible he can find me out. I have disguised my voice so carefully in all the questions I have been asking him about his friend, and I am dying, Inez, to discover who the lady was who interrupted my conference with him last night.
Don Diego, aside to Don Luis.
Since they made such very particular inquiries about you, I thought the best thing I could do was to bring them to you.
Don Luis, aside to Don Diego.
It must certainly be the lady whom I told you I met in the park.
Shall I wait till you have had some conversation with her?
You will much oblige me.
I will retire then to that corner. Ah, what would I give that Isabella would favour me as far as this unknown lady does my friend?
Retires. Martin, aside.
The maid, of course, must be Juana.
Most divine lady, the object of adoration to all who behold you, yet for whom all your adorers sigh in vain.
Donna Isabella, aside.
Can this be addressed to me?
I was beginning to fear I should have been disappointed of this happiness, but since at last I am so fortunate as to behold you, let me entreat you to remove that envious veil which conceals the rich treasure of your beauties.
Martin to Inez.
Mrs. Juana!
Inez, aside.
Juana. To be sure, he takes me for somebody else. But I'll know the bottom of it.
Don Luis to Donna Isabella.
Since the day when I first beheld you in the park.
Donna Isabella, aside.
In the park? Was there ever anything so provoking? He means all these fine speeches for some other lady.
Since that fatal day, my heart has been subjected to your charms.
Donna Isabella, aside.
I will discover myself. Let us see what excuse he can make for his falsehood now.
About to unveil. Inez, aside to Donna Isabella.
Madam, your brother.
How? What?
Is coming this way.
Follow me instantly, without looking back.
Make haste, for if it does but occur to him that it will be a folly to come after us, you may be sure he will not easily give up the pursuit.
Don Luis to Donna Isabella.
Whither away in such a hurry, madam?
Donna Isabella to Inez.
Tell him to stay where he is.
Exit.
What? Gone without a word?
You must stay here, Don Luis, for it is of the greatest consequence that— But he is just coming. Goodbye, goodbye.
Exit.
Is that all?
They have taken a pretty leave of us.
Don Diego, what can be the meaning of this?
I know not what to think. I see Don Cosmo coming this way. It appears as if they had entertained some fears of him.
I will presently find it out. Do you remain here and amuse him, while I follow the ladies?
Stay, don't you know that he and I are but on indifferent terms on account of my attentions to his sister, Isabella? His jealousy of her is one of his principal absurdities.
Then let us both go.
I will attend you.
Don Cosmo within.
Pray, Don Luis, stay a minute. I would speak one word with you.
This only was wanting to provoke me.
He is stopping to look after the ladies.
My dear friend Don Diego, I know not whether I may make so free with you, but will you try to detain her till I get away from this fool? And if you can, do persuade her to wait for me at your house. You know it is just in her way, and your own apartment is at such a distance from the rest of your family that none of them need know anything about it.
To serve you, I will endeavour to do this, though I should not lend my apartment to everybody.
I am sensible how great an obligation I shall owe you.
Well then, in case I succeed, here is the key of my door. I have another in my pocket with which I can admit myself.
Gives a key.
Only do not expect me to stay at home to receive you, for I have hopes of an opportunity of meeting my unkind mistress. One of her servants has informed me that she means to take the air this evening.
I thank you. Adieu.
Exit Don Diego. Enter Don Cosmo Mendieta, ridiculously dressed, and Juancho.
Don Luis, what secrets were you talking about with Don Diego?
Don Luis aside.
A civil question. Oh, that such a fellow as this should be ranked among gentlemen.
Don Luis, you must give me leave to tell you that it is very ill manners to whisper.
I shall certainly improve in politeness by the lessons of so able an instructor.
And if I see you and Don Diego behaving another time in such a manner, I shall know what I have to do.
And pray, sir, what shall you have to do?
Run you both through the body.
How? Both of us?
Why, and if there were 50 more of you, I would serve you all the same.
The devil you would.
Aside.
Was there ever so insufferable a blockhead?
Don Cosmo aside to Juancho.
Juancho, how did that pass?
Juancho aside to Don Cosmo.
It passed in peace, and you may thank your stars for sending you no worse luck.
I say it passed very well. I make everybody afraid of me. But, Don Luis, we will leave this subject, for I want to talk to you of something more important. I have had a quarrel, and I am going to tell you the story of it, that I may hear how you think I have acquitted myself.
Don Luis aside.
What? Must I endure this too?
Martin aside.
We may prepare to hear an amusing tale.
Don Luis, as I was a-saying, I am in love. I say, sir, you comprehend me?
Don Luis aside.
S'death, am I to be the confidant of his amours?
I say, sir, I am in love, and I'm very glad of it.
And do you tell this secret to all your acquaintances?
Suppose I do, sir. What have you to say to that?
For my part, my good friend, when I fall in love, I say nothing about it to anybody but my confessor.
Aside.
I will make him tell me who his mistress is. Pray, is the lady very handsome?
You shall judge. I am going to describe her to you from top to toe. You are to know, then, that Phyllis, not that Phyllis is her name, but I think it proper to dissemble for the sake of her reputation. Phyllis, then, is so surprising and marvellous a beauty that she seems, as it were, somehow, quite another thing. She is very much in love with me. That indeed is a matter of course, but she is in a very dangerous situation. She's none of your beauties easy to be come at, Don Luis.
Your description is laconic.
A man can always describe eloquently what he feels. You need not pay me any more compliments, Don Luis.
I shall desist. She must be a very great beauty indeed.
I have only given you a slight sketch of her. This lady, then, sir, at first sight so completely captivated me that I felt myself impelled to commit the barbarism of declaring my passion to her with my own lips.
A pretty gallantry.
An extraordinary one in my mind, yet I have given her still a stronger proof of my love.
What proof can be stronger than so sudden a declaration?
What do you think of drawing my sword for her sake?
How? Have you really drawn your sword?
Yes, on my conscience, and what is more, when I had nothing to gain by my fighting.
Oh, a duel is certainly the greatest compliment of all.
You shall hear how it happened. I was coming, just as the bell was ringing for vespers, down the street in which this divine lady lives, and I saw her come out of her own house with her veil on. You comprehend me?
I comprehend you very perfectly.
I turned about to follow her, and just as she came up to my house, but I don't believe you understand me.
I do not lose a word.
There was a man standing there, and I suppose she had some acquaintance with the man, for she pulled him by the arm, and without any more ado, led him to the next turning.
Don Luis aside.
Heavens! What do I hear? This blockhead was certainly my antagonist last night, and now I think of it, it was at his approach that my incognita was so much troubled just now, and fled away in such a hurry. Is this fellow then my rival? Could one have believed that so handsome a woman could have so bad a taste?
Don Luis, you don't attend to me. I, seeing this Mr. What-you-call-him in the case, goes up to him, and with my sword drawn. Upon the faith of a gentleman, I should have given some account of him, if things had not turned out quite a different way.
Did you find out who he was?
No, not I, for he was all covered up with his cloak. However, I could perceive that he was a very dastardly fellow.
Don Luis aside.
He has a good right to say that, when I defended myself against two of them at once. You think, then, that he was a coward?
To such a degree, my good friend, that I am almost ashamed to tell you what he did.
Did he attack you? At any disadvantage?
Look you, there was nobody with me but Wancho here.
And who was with the other man?
Oh, the other man was alone.
Then pray, what cowardice did he discover?
Is it possible that a man can be a scholar and ask such a question? Why, only consider. Was not my heart in the possession of the lady who stood by? And is it not very clear that, while I was without a heart, he might have knocked me down, if he had known but ever so little of the use of his sword? Soon, sir, if he had been a follower of any spirit, when he took me at such a disadvantage as that, he might have killed me as dead as a herring.
You reason most justly.
Aside.
This is the most ridiculous absurdity of all.
Pray, Don Luis, what are you laughing at?
I am only admiring the extraordinary subtlety of your genius.
You look to me, sir, as if you were making a jest of something I had said. But you would do well to choose some other subject for your mirth, for I would have you to know that no man, let him be great or small, ever dared to laugh at me, from the king downwards. And more than that, sir, my name is Bendietta, of the elder branch, and descending in the right line from...
Don Luis frowns.
But I believe the best thing I can do is to go away and leave you.
Going.
Stay, sir. Why are you going in this hurry?
Because I feel myself in a passion, and I don't wish to be provoked to cut your throat.
But I must have satisfaction for the accusation you have thought proper to bring against me.
The devil take me, sir, if I satisfy anybody.
Exeunt Don Cosmo and Juancho.
A happy riddance.
Have you heard our conversation?
Aye, sir, and I wish you much joy.
Of what, blockhead?
Of the pretty piece of goods you picked up in the park.
If she is gone to Don Diego's house, I shall soon learn the whole truth.
So it seems she is this fool's mistress, his fair Phyllis.
I confess I am very sorry for it.
And now you have nothing to do but go and choose under what willow tree you will be buried.
What? Do you suppose I am to die of such a misfortune? No, no, Martin. I am in love, so far as I find my amusement in it, and not a jot farther.
Time will show.
Did you go that way, and take care that the blockhead does not follow me? I will turn down this street, and you may easily overtake me before I reach Don Diego's house.
Aye, we shall make fine work of it.
Excellent. Don Diego's house. Enter Don Diego with Donna Isabella and Inez veiled.
This, madam, is my apartment.
Aside.
I never saw anything so mysterious as her behaviour. She will give me no answer but by signs. However, I had not occasion to waste many words in persuading her to come hither. Would you choose that I should shut the door?
Donna Isabella nods.
Very well, madam, it shall be shut, and so I wish you good morning.
Aside.
Now will I go and try if I can meet with Isabella. Madam, Don Lewis will be here directly, and I have given him another key of this apartment.
Aside.
I never saw a woman demean herself so strangely. I cannot think she is a lady of so much distinction as Don Lewis supposes her, yet he surely knows too much of the world to be easily taken in.
Exit.
A pretty situation we are in here, madam, waiting for one lover in the apartment of another.
Do not frighten me, Inez, by telling me what I have done. I am but too sensible of my rashness. But could I refuse to follow Don Diego hither, when otherwise I must either have discovered to him who I was, by entering my brother's house in his sight, or have wandered, I knew not whither, in the streets, unable perhaps to disengage myself from him during the remainder of the day? My reputation, happily, is still safe, whatever my feelings may have suffered. And since the discourse which Don Lewis addressed to me this morning, while he mistook me for some other, has afforded me the fullest and most indisputable proof of his perfidy, I have determined that I will no longer submit to such treatment. I will avail myself of this opportunity to break with him forever, and I will try to receive with less coldness the address of Don Diego, whose attachment to me is, I am persuaded, much more ardent and sincere than ever Don Lewis's was.
But do you know, madam, what has come into my head? That you must certainly be wrong in supposing that your rival is Donna Anna, for if she were, it is hardly possible that Don Lewis could have had the confidence to make assignations here, in her brother's house.
Are you so little acquainted with his assurance as to believe that certain? Besides, Donna Anna's apartment is in a distant part of the house, and might as well be under a different roof.
I dare say this door, which is locked, leads to the rooms which are occupied by the terrestrial goddess.
Noise within.
Mercy upon us! There is surely somebody going to open it.
Ah me! What will become of me?
We cannot possibly escape, for all the doors are fastened.
Quick, cover yourself closely.
We had better retire into that alcove, till we see who it is.
You are in the right.
They retire. Enter Donna Anna and Juana.
I assure you Martin told me so.
Though I was just putting on my veil to make a visit, I cannot go till I have found out the truth of it. For I know not how to believe your story. It seems so far remote from possibility.
I must tell it you again then, madam, for I declare to you that nothing can be more certain than that I met Martin as I was going in search of Don Lewis to make him your excuses for not keeping your assignation with him today, and my old friend Martin assured me that I should find my mistress in Don Diego's apartment, where she was gone to meet his master. I thought when he told me such a story that to be sure he had found you out, and only said it to frighten me. But so far from that, I found at last that the person whom he had taken for my mistress was a woman in a veil, whom that false swain of yours had picked up in the street, and, with your brother's permission, had appointed, with another miss, her companion, to meet him in this very house. Here's a pretty sort of lover for you, but it's no wonder. The men are all alike, and their fine professions are nothing but vapor.
Donna Isabella looking out.
It is Donna Anna.
Inez looking out.
If Don Lewis should come just now, we shall have made a fine job of it.
I wish he may come, for then I shall see what terms they are upon together.
I wish I could hear what they say a little more distinctly.
It is a very rare thing for me to visit my brother's apartment, and I am sensible it does not greatly become me, either to disquiet myself on such an account as this, or to stay to be a witness of Don Lewis's strange conduct. Yet I cannot resolve to go away without seeing the end of this adventure. Don Lewis cannot think any harm of me from finding me in my brother's chamber, and though I have hitherto so carefully concealed from him who I am, I cannot now if he discover me, since I have resolved at all events to let him know that my eyes are open to his character. But I hear somebody at the door. Stand out of the way. Let him have free entrance.
It is certainly he. Now let us see how well you can manage the affair.
Enter Don Luis and Martin. Martin locking the door.
Juana swore to me by all the saints that her mistress had not set foot out of doors all day.
I begin now to suspect that it may have been somebody else, for had it been she...
Seeing Donna Anna.
But by Jove, it is she.
On my troth, the booby has a very good taste.
Donna Anna aside to Juana.
He does not seem much confused at seeing me. Could one have thought, Juana, that any man would have had so much assurance?
Donna Isabella looking out.
Do you observe him, Inez?
Don Luis aside.
The thought of so unworthy a rival troubles me strangely. However, I will accost her. Madam!
Pray, Don Lewis, what brings you here?
I did not expect that question from you.
Aside.
Let me try to recover my spirits a little. Can you guess what it is which at this moment so greatly troubles me, that I feel more pain than pleasure in thus meeting you?
What is it? A discreet question, truly. A late discovery, I suppose. That you are a mortal man, and must one day die?
Donna Isabella looking out.
Oh, it is very plain. I see they are acquainted. I will endeavor to hear every word he says to her.
The discovery, madam, which most disquiets me, is that the divinity, whom it has been my ambition to adore, is lost to me, since so many competitors are admitted to her altars.
Your trouble seems to have been great enough to take away your senses. Will you be so good as to speak in such a language as it may be possible for me to understand?
I wish I were able to give you, if it were but the rough sketch of my present feelings.
And if you could, I should learn but little. You had better give me the finished picture.
Will you promise to attend to me, then?
I cannot promise, but I'll try.
It is indeed more necessary for me than it would be for any other man to make you a set speech on such an occasion, since such a novice am I in love, that my breath has never yet learned the knack of issuing in the shape of a sigh, nor could the most tender sentiment force a tear down my cheek. And yet I protest to you, madam, however the want of those vulgar and ordinary signs of love may discredit me in your opinion, I have never, since I first beheld you, known a moment's peace, and at present I am even bursting with despite at having learnt that you possess another more favoured lover in Don Cosmo de Mendieta. Perhaps, however, I ought to rejoice rather than grieve at a circumstance which of all others will prove the most effectual remedy for the passion with which you were beginning to inspire me. For I believe the wounds of love may be best cured by simples. Only do me the favour to tell me plainly whether the fact is so or not, that if it be, I may take my leave at once, and neither trouble you nor myself any further.
A pretty time you have chosen for discourses like these, for I am lost in wonder at seeing you in this house, and expecting you to explain to me what brought you hither.
Juana aside.
I don't know what to make of his great composure. He does not seem at all apprehensive of the arrival of the other ladies.
Donna Isabella looking out.
I shall lose my senses. It is all clear enough now. My patience will hold out no longer.
Martin aside.
I wonder what is the matter with Juana that she does not come and talk to me.
Juana aside.
Martin is dying to have some chat with me, but his proud stomach won't let him speak first. And truly, it may choke him for me, for I'll be hanged if I begin.
Martin aside.
I see I must break the ice myself. My queen!
What would your worship please to want?
Only a little friendly conversation. Let us go and talk in that alcove and leave our master and mistress to themselves for a while.
With all my heart.
As they are about to enter the alcove, they perceive Donna Isabella and Inez.
Bless me, who have we here?
What is the matter?
Only that these ladies have taken possession of the post before us.
Donna Isabella and Inez come forward closely veiled. Donna Isabella aside to Inez.
Since we are discovered, Inez, I have no way but this.
Inez aside to Donna Isabella.
You had better put a bold face upon it.
Don Louis, please to unlock that door.
Donna Louis, much astonished.
But how? Who can it be?
I think, sir, I do you a favor in not discovering myself.
Aside.
I choke with rage. And I beg that another time you will take care how you bring me into similar situations.
Donna Ana to Juana.
Juana, these are the very women Martin told you of.
Juana to Donna Ana.
Will you believe me then at last?
Donna Louis to Donna Isabella.
I bring you? Stay a moment. I bring you?
Poor gentleman, so this was the cause of his trouble.
Madam, I protest to you, by all that is sacred, that this is some trick.
Will you be so good, sir, as to open the door?
Not till I know who you are. If you will not discover yourself, on my life.
About to take off her veil.
Hold! It is I.
Lifts up her veil.
I choose rather to declare myself than to be insulted.
You, madam?
A pleasant addition to the company.
I am at a loss in what manner.
This is an unexpected discovery indeed. Can it be you, then, Donna Isabella, who have entered my house in this manner?
Donna Anna, although the apparent indiscretion, but there is somebody at the door.
It is probably Don Diego.
My brother! Mercy upon me!
How? Is Don Diego your brother?
Did you not find that out before?
Enter Don Diego.
I have not been able to meet with Donna Isabella, so I am come back to see whether Don Lewis and his veiled ladies. But what do I behold? My sister and Donna Isabella with Don Lewis? What am I to think of this?
Don Cosmo within.
Is Don Diego at home?
So, here we have a new visitor.
Ah, me, my brother.
Don Luis stands by Donna Ana, and Don Diego by Donna Isabella. Enter Don Cosmo.
Hey day! What have we here? Don Diego and Don Lewis with my sister and my mistress? Don Diego and my sister? That's bad. Don Lewis and my mistress? That's worse.
Martin aside.
Everybody seems to be struck dumb.
I am astonished and confounded. Don Lewis, what can all this mean? Where is the lady who you came hither to meet? And how happens it that I find you with persons of so different a description?
Donna Luis aside.
I know not what answer to return.
Ay, sir, and if it is you who are to explain this affair, let me tell you that I must have an explanation too, since I see my sister is of the party.
Donna Ana aside.
How completely they are all embarrassed. But since nobody can speak, suppose I try whether my ingenuity cannot find a way to solve this difficulty. Let me see. I have it. You have no reason to be surprised at this gentleman's confusion. I flatter myself that my reproaches have made him sufficiently ashamed of himself.
Your reproaches, Donna Ana? How has he offended you?
Nay, indeed, brother, the fault was yours.
Mine, sister?
And I am particularly concerned that Donna Isabella should have been witness to such a scene.
I do not understand you.
She came this afternoon to make me a visit, and while the little collation which I had ordered for her was getting ready, we had a mind to amuse ourselves by seeing the carriages which were passing by to Legenitos. So as I knew you were not at home, brother, I brought her into this room because it has a better view of the street than any other in the house. But I had scarcely opened the door when two veiled ladies rushed out against us and ran into the street as if scared by our entrance, while Donna Isabella and I were standing thunderstruck by such an adventure. Don Lewis came in, locked the door, then turned round, I suppose to accost the ladies, but he looked very blank when he saw us in their stead, and then I, being much provoked, could not refrain from letting him know what I thought of such intrusions. However, I must say, brother, that I have much more reason to be angry with you, who could consent to admit such company into your house, while you had a sister under your protection, whom you ought to treat with more respect. Let me beg, therefore, that you will set matters right, while I conduct Donna Isabella back to my own apartment.
Martin aside to Juana.
There's a come-off for you. Why, your mistress has completely satisfied both the brothers.
Juana aside to Martin.
I must confess, she tells a lie with a very good grace.
I own, sister, that you have much reason to be displeased. Don Lewis, I know not what we can say for ourselves. She is certainly in the right.
I say she is not in the right.
You only say that, sir, for the pleasure of contradiction. As a gentleman, you cannot but feel that she is.
My dear Don Diego, I assure you I do not feel any such thing. For I hate to see men ordered and scolded about by their sisters, as little boys may be by their grandmothers. And besides, I don't want to have Donna Ana spoiled, and taught to give herself airs, by your treating her with such submission.
Aside.
How clear-sighted I am. I knew it was impossible that Donna Ana could have come here to meet any man but myself.
Don Cosmo, I shall be happy to see you with your sister.
Don Cosmo aside.
Ay, she is dying for me. That is very plain.
Don Luis, you and I had better retire.
I attend you, Don Diego.
Aside.
I cannot bear to see her so civil to that fool.
Donna Ana aside.
How much it goes against me to invite this odious woman.
Donna Isabella aside.
What a torment to be obliged to accept the civilities of a rival.
Don Luis aside.
I believe by this adventure I have lost them both.
Don Cosmo aside.
How devilishly fond Donna Anna is of me.
Excellent. End of Act 1. Act 2 of One Fool Makes Many by Antonio de Solis, translated by Henry Richard Vassall Holland. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Act 2, Don Cosmo's Garden, Night. Enter Don Diego and Martin climbing over the wall.
Come on.
Are we near the ground?
What? Are you afraid?
Oh, by no means, sir. I only wanted to know whether I might venture yet to jump.
Speak lower and be more cautious, and set your feet where I set mine.
I can tell you I would rather lower my voice than my person from such a height as this. It may do well enough for you, who are in love and consequently blind to all danger, but for me, whose eyes are open, mercy upon me.
If you are frightened, either go back or hold your tongue.
Nay, that's worse still. I would rather crack my skull than shut my mouth.
They reach the ground.
But won't you at least tell me, sir, what end you propose to yourself in climbering in this manner from your own garden into Don Cosmo's?
He uses every precaution to deprive me of access to his sister, and I am willing to take this advantage of our living next door to each other, to try if I cannot thus obtain an opportunity of conversing with her.
But what is it you want me for?
Come on, and tread softly.
Oh, you need not caution me. The very sole of my shoe knows how to keep a secret.
You know how coldly Donna Isabella receives my addresses, and the affair of yesterday appears to have increased her prepossession against me. I am therefore, at present, particularly desirous of an interview with her, and having left Don Cosmo deeply engaged at play, I called at Don Luis's with the intention of asking him to assist me in this attempt. But, not finding him at home, I have brought you with me in his stead, being well assured that your talents and fidelity render you very worthy of the confidence I place in you, and that your master is too much my friend to be displeased at my employing you in a service of such importance.
Yes, my master will be very much obliged to you if you will break my neck. But am I to go with you to Donna Isabella?
No, Martin, I want you to stay here and keep watch.
Well, since, as you say, my master is your friend, leave me alone, and I'll do what I can for you.
I know how implicitly I may rely on you. Here, opposite the porch, will be the best place for you to take your stand. Be not impatient of the length of my stay.
I should have patience enough if I had a little less fear.
Now, love, if ever thou didst triumph over fortune, exert thy power but this once on my behalf, and be propitious to my vows.
Exit into the house.
So, a pleasant walk I shall have by myself up and down the garden at this time of night. What shall I do to divert myself? Suppose I make a soliloquy, a very proper occupation for a hero when he is alone. Now for it, then. Alas, alas, alas! That's a good beginning for a languishing lover, but I think a little jealousy would be more amusing. Let me see. Aye, very true. It was but yesterday that I saw Don Cosmo nod at Juana, and Juana nodded at him again. What if it should be she who listened to the vows of that great ass, and all the while Donna Anna bore the blame? Then I saw him whispering to the jade. He might have been giving her a message, to be sure, but they needed not to have been so close for that. And besides, many a man, while he is waiting till he can find the mistress in a good humour, will console himself with the maid. But hark, I hear steps. Unless, indeed, it is my fear which represents such a sound to my imagination. I will stand out of the way and see who is coming. Let him be who he may, he has cut short the thread of my soliloquy.
Retires. Enter Don Cosmo with a ladder and Juancho.
I have slipped away from the gambling house, Juancho, on purpose to try my success in a visit to Donna Anna. I know Anna is in my interest, for I gave her a handful of money only yesterday. So I have brought this ladder to set up against her mistress's window, and I am sure the wench will be there to receive me. As for Don Diego, I am not at all afraid of him, for he always goes to bed with the cocks and hens.
Martin aside.
Why, it is Don Cosmo himself, and be hanged to him. And now he is coming this way, talking to Juancho. If he should have seen Don Diego.
Now, take the ladder round and set it up.
I'm going to set it up.
Stay. First, listen to me for a moment.
I do listen.
Mind you fasten it very firmly, for though Donna Anna is a pretty woman, I don't want to break my bones for her sake.
Must I set it up against the wall?
No, you fool. Against Donna Anna's balcony, to be sure. And you shall go up first, and then, if it gives way, you'll have the fall, and not I.
Exit Juancho with the ladder by the garden door.
I have a great mind to go back to my chamber for a little while, and consider what I shall say to Donna Anna. A man ought neither to speak nor to die without due preparation.
Exit into the house. Martin coming forward.
One of them is gone out by the garden porch, and the other... But here he comes again. What shall I do? He has seen me by the moonlight.
Re-enter Don Cosmo.
Here, Juancho. Hold, come back.
Seizes Martin. Martin aside.
I won't speak.
It is very lucky, Juancho, that I have caught you again, for I have bethought myself that it will make the affair the surer if you carry these 10 doubloons more to Juana to engage her to do what I asked her.
Gives him a purse.
This it is for a man to have always his wits about him.
Exit into the house.
Carry these 10 doubloons more to Juana to engage her to do what I asked her. Can I have any proof more certain of my wrongs? Juana. Does Don Cosmo send 10 doubloons to Juana, and am I to be his messenger, to bear the vile price of my own infamy? Shall I forfeit my honor and carry her a purse? No, honor would impel me to toss this base gold higher than the moon, but that I have too much respect for his Majesty's arms to allot them any situation less dignified than my own pocket. But I hear footsteps again. They won't let me finish my soliloquy, take what pains I will.
Enter hastily from the house Dona Isabella and Inez and Don Diego.
Where is he?
He is gone towards your apartment.
If he should have heard us.
I am much afraid he did. He was marching with such long strides.
What shall I do? Leave me, Don Diego. For heaven's sake, fly instantly. I assure you, I take this rashness of yours so ill that if my brother were any other kind of man than he is, I should have recourse to him for protection against your intrusion. Be gone.
Lovely Isabella.
Consider my situation.
Can I consider it without staying to protect you?
My only danger consists in your being found here.
Yet, since
I cannot listen to you.
my obedience,
I will not hear another word.
assure me at least that you are not offended with me.
I assure you of anything you please. Only be gone.
Then shall I depart contented. Martin,
Here I am, sir. Are you going?
follow me.
Sir, you see Wancho has left open this gate into the street. Had we not better go out that way than have to climb over the wall again?
You advise well, and I will go back with you to your master's house, for I want to speak with him.
Make haste, then, for it is as dangerous a thing to deal with a foolish brother as with an impertinent husband.
Exeunt Don Diego and Martin by the garden door.
Are they gone?
Yes, madam.
I am dying with fear.
If your brother has but caught a sight of them, I would not give a fig for either of our lives.
Let us make haste in again before... But what do I see? Yonder comes my brother, breathless with fury, his sword drawn, with disordered steps.
I'll shut my eyes that I may not see myself cut in pieces. And yet I can't help looking either. As I live, madam, here he comes, with a candle in one hand and a naked sword in the other.
Don Cosmo within.
Where art thou, rash intruder, that I may slay thee upon the spot?
Do we wait for any farther proofs of our danger? Inez, what will become of us?
Since we dare not enter the house, let us hide ourselves in the porch. He may not look for us there. Oh, mercy, how my heart is beating.
I know not what to do. I can resolve on nothing. But he is already here. Lead, quick.
I am all in a tremble.
My senses fail me with terror.
Exeunt into the porch by the garden gate. Enter from the house Don Cosmo with a candle and a sword drawn.
Now it will do. I have not only composed the harangue in which I will make love to Donna Anna, but I have been practising how I will attack any impertinent fellow who may chance to interrupt me while I am in her chamber. And after having fought him so successfully through half the rooms in my own house, I'll warrant you I will know how to deal with him if he comes against me in his own proper person. I have been swearing at him too, for I always swear when I fight. I hope my sister did not hear me. It would have frightened her out of her wits to have seen what a passion I was in. But I dare say, poor soul, she has been in bed and asleep for an hour or two. Now, sword, return to thy scabbard. Full well does it know that this is the first time I have ever returned thee to it, untinged with blood.
Wancho within.
Walk off, you impudent hussies.
Wancho, what is the matter?
Enter Wancho from the porch.
I found 2 women there, standing in the porch.
A woman? Of what condition?
Of a very bad condition, I believe, for all they had silk gowns on.
Poor things! I suppose they were watching for a sight of me. I have very often such visitors, who come to complain of my cruelty. But you need not have been so rough with them, Wancho. Are they gone?
Oh, yes, for I had not shut the garden door after me, and when they heard you coming up to see what I was making such a noise about, they took to their heels and ran out into the street as if the devil was after 'em.
I am not at all surprised at such an adventure. There are a great many ladies who would give their ears to be able to make some impression on my heart, and especially when they know that I am of the blood of the Mendiatas, which my father bequeathed to me by his last will and testament. But I want to know whether you have seen Wanda. What says she to the latter?
She says that it will do very well, and that she will be sure to have everything ready for you.
To see the effect now of a few doubloons.
Aside.
A faithful fellow this, my own countryman. My life to a ducat he won't blab. I believe Juana is a good strong wench.
Oh, very strong.
That point is of some consequence, as we must trust to her to fasten the ladder at top. I say she ought to be strong.
Never fear as to that matter, sir.
All my family are remarkable for their aversion to falls. We are of a finer contexture than men of vulgar birth, and the bones of Amontillata are as brittle as glass. But now, come, it is time we attempt this escalade. I shall lock up all my doors, however, first, for I must not forget I have a cistern in my house, and sisters must be kept more strictly than Sundays.
Excellent. Donna Anna's apartment. Enter Donna Anna and Juana with a candle.
Place that right there, Juana. Then go down and open the door for Don Luis.
Don Luis? Bless me, madam, is Don Luis coming here tonight?
Yes, for my brother never comes home so early as this, and were it otherwise, my mind is too much agitated to permit me to consider any danger to which I might expose myself. Don Luis came this evening under my window, and in spite of the indignation which his conduct ought to have inspired in me, I could not so far command myself as to refuse to hear him, and at last I even promised to admit him if he returned at this hour to visit me, for he assured me that he should be able to explain to me in the most satisfactory manner the scene which passed in my brother's apartment. If he should, but at all events do not attempt to represent to me the impropriety of the step I am taking. I am already but too sensible of it, and I would, if possible, shut my eyes against the consequences.
Juana aside.
If she knew that but a few moments since, sinner as I am, I had fastened a ladder against the balcony yonder, I cannot think what has detained Don Cosmo so long, but he must be here in a minute or two. A pretty scrape I have brought myself into.
Why don't you go?
I am going, madam.
Aside.
It is impossible to help it.
Exit.
Is it come to this? I, who always disdained the power of love, am I now so far under the dominion of that passion as voluntarily to expose myself to the risk which may attend such a visit as I now expect? And have I so far forgotten all my pride as to do this for the sake of a man whom I have every reason to believe devoted to another? Let me yet recollect myself. Let me resume. Alas, it is all in vain. I could resist the allurements of love, but the pangs of jealousy I have not fortitude to suffer. If it were possible, he should justify himself.
Enter Don Luis and Juana.
Walk in, sir. She is here.
Aside.
Now, if I can possibly slip unobserved into the balcony in time to remove the ladder and prevent mischief.
Don Luis aside.
There is something devilishly awkward in this interview.
Don Luis, you will probably think it a strange indecorum in a woman of my rank to receive you in such an hour as this, but I have been induced to do it. At least we may have an opportunity of mutually explaining to each other those circumstances which afford so much apparent reason for complaint.
Alas, madam, I fear that the complaint which I have to urge is less likely to obtain from you a satisfactory answer than a patient hearing, I fear.
We do not have time at present, Don Luis, for unnecessary words. Less rhetoric and more feeling might become you better.
You do me wrong, madam, if you doubt the sincerity of my feelings. I wish your own conduct stood no more in need than mine does of an eloquent defence, since you then might quickly remove those torments which you have implanted in my mind by the favour you have shown to a man who, of all his sex, is the most unworthy of it. How is it possible, Donna Anna, that a woman of your sense and rank can have given occasion to that fool to boast that you listen. But I forget myself. I have no right to question your conduct, if you can justify it to yourself.
Juana aside.
Now they are both upon the high ropes. I may make my escape.
Going.
Where are you going, Juana?
Only to look if the window of the balcony is shut, madam.
It is no matter. I desire that you will stay here.
Juana aside.
So, that won't do.
Your behavior, Don Luis, is really very extraordinary. The jealousy which you pretend is so extremely ridiculous that it were unworthy of me to take any notice of it. But after what passed in my brother's apartment between you and Donna Isabella, it probably appears to you more easy to accuse my conduct than to justify your own. And if such be the case, I must entreat you not to imagine that any of the protestations you formerly made me have laid against you under the slightest obligation to continue your dissimulation with me. You had better reserve your sighs and vows for the Lady Isabella. She, I dare say, will believe them all, and one so desperately in love with you as she is may possibly die if you desert her. But for me, I can assure you that I am in no sort of danger. I shall live out my destined number of days, whether you think proper to be kind or cruel, and therefore, since it appears that we are so very indifferent to each other, I think the sooner we part, the better.
Is it possible, Donna Anna, that you can have the heart to speak to me thus? Are you ready on so slight an occasion?
3 knocks are heard in the balcony.
Ha! What do I hear? A signal made in your balcony?
Juana, what can it be?
Aye, you do right to give the hint to her. What, Juana, do not you comprehend that your mistress expects you to say that it is a lover of yours who is in the balcony, and that it was to you the signal was made?
Really, sir, I know nothing at all about it.
Aside.
This is certainly Don Cosmo, but I am determined to deny it to the last.
Don Luis.
No more Don Lewises, Donna Anna. The truth is much too evident, and you must excuse me if I have not resolution to stay, to assist you, to entertain your new visitor. Good night. Good night to you.
Hold, I entreat you to stay. This must be cleared up to you.
To me? For what purpose? Let me go, madam.
You shall not go.
If you are afraid your character may suffer if I am seen to go out at the door, you may let me descend from the balcony.
Don Luis, I swear to you by all that is dear to me, I know not what that noise could mean, and it is cruel.
Great noise in the balcony.
But what is this?
What, madam? Does this confound you?
Juana aside.
I am frightened out of my senses.
Who can it be? Heaven preserve me.
I will know presently who it is.
Going to the door of the balcony.
Hold! Where would you go?
I will have satisfaction for my own sake, madam, if not for yours.
Juana aside.
We shall all be finally off now.
Now we shall see who it is.
Throws open the door of the balcony, from which enter Martin.
You here, sir? Was there ever anything so unfortunate?
Martin, what can this mean?
Devilishly unlucky, to be sure.
How came you into the balcony?
Quick, hide yourself.
Hide myself? From whom?
From Don Diego.
From my brother? Why? Where is he?
In the street, raving with fury.
And what has incensed him?
The sight of the ladder set up against the balcony.
The what?
The ladder.
Then who? I tremble all over. Who could dare?
What? Still will you persist? Do you suppose it possible, Donna Anna, that this can deceive me any longer?
Don Luis!
You need say no more to me, madam. I have done with you. Go on, Martin. Tell me every circumstance, and then I shall know what I have to do."
"Why, sir, I had been following Don Diego half the night upon some business of his own, after which he wanted to speak with you. But not finding you at home, he returned to his own house, where he descried by the moonlight a ladder fastened up to Donna Anna's balcony, and the street door wide open. He was like a madman at the sight, and was going to rush into the house, when it occurred to him that if he went in at the door, his enemy might escape by the ladder. If he ascended the ladder, the other might go out by the door. He therefore sent me up the ladder that I might spring the game, and he stays below himself to guard both passages. Consider, therefore, both of you what you will do, for there he stands in the street."
What will become of me?
This is a most perplexing situation.
Juana aside.
I wish the ladder had been at the devil before I had touched it.
"But, sir, you must resolve upon something."
Donna Anna, notwithstanding the strong reasons which I have to believe you false to my love, I do not forget what conduct, as a gentleman, it becomes me to pursue. You may retire to your own chamber, while I stand aside here, and whatever may be the issue of this affair, I will protect you from all danger. For, if my interest in you has ceased, I have not lost my regard for my own honor.
Don Luis, heaven is my witness that I have never wronged you.
Well, well, do not waste the time in protestations.
I go then, and from this chamber I shall see what passes. Adieu.
And I go take my post in this room opposite.
"And I will go down again to Don Diego and amuse him as long as I can."
Exit.
You have well requited my love, madam.
You will soon be undeceived.
Am I not sufficiently undeceived already?
Make haste, for I hear steps without.
Adieu.
Adieu.
They retire on opposite sides. Enter Donna Isabella and Inez veiled.
There's nobody here.
Then go on, Inez, and inquire for Don Diego. For since it was his rashness which brought me into this danger, his sense of honor will oblige him to protect me, while mine forbids me to have recourse to any other person in my present alarming situation.
I am very glad I thought of applying to my cousin for these veils in our way hither. I am not half so much afraid now, for a woman who can hide her face may escape from any perplexity.
Enter Don Cosmo.
So, here am I at last.
Inez aside to Donna Isabella.
Mercy upon us! If here is not your brother.
Who?
It is he.
Cover yourself closely. Who could have foreseen anything so unlucky?
I was just looking about for the ladder, when I espied the house door standing wide open. So I thought it better to walk straight in upon the ground than to venture my neck by climbing up into the air.
Don Luis looking out.
Who can these two veiled women be? And Don Cosmo?
Donna Anna looking out.
Whence can all this company have come?
I can scarcely credit my senses.
I am determined to conduct myself with great civility. Now then, I advance. Heyday! What woman have we here with veils on? But why need I ask? To be sure, they must be the very people I seek. Donna Anna, I suppose, had grown tired of waiting for me, and so she was going out to look for me. Bless my heart, how quick I am at finding out things. I always considered my own genius as a very extraordinary one. Now then, I will accost her.
Donna Isabella aside.
Was ever a woman so unhappily situated?
I wish I could see a little corner of her face, however.
Enter Don Diego and Martin.
You were so long in returning to me, Martin, that my patience was exhausted, so I broke the ladder in pieces and was coming towards the door when I saw two women enter it. I waited a moment, and then I saw a man come round the house and go in after them. What could all this mean?
I met the women as I was crossing the hall, but I stepped on one side and they did not see me.
Stay, if I do not mistake, that man is Don Cosmo.
That it is. See how he walks round and round those two ladies.
And they seem desirous to shun him. Wait a little and listen.
Donna Anna looking out.
Here is my brother come at last. Heaven protect me. Oh, that they would come but a little nearer this way and leave room for Don Luis to slip out.
Don Luis looking out.
Oh, now I see Don Diego. He seems occupied in watching those other people.
Don Diego aside.
I am determined I will know what all these intruders have to do in my house.
What need I care if she's veiled? But what do I see? Don Diego here? Nay, then, it is very lucky I have been practising my quarrel.
Donna Isabella aside.
Where will this end?
Don Cosmo, what is the meaning of this? Is it thus you enter my house?
Don Cosmo aside.
Now for it. Don Diego, it is none of your business to ask me such questions, for I never parley in the field of battle. I am resolved I will protect your sister to the last extremity. Stand behind me, Donna Anna, and don't be afraid of him.
Draws his sword while Donna Isabella goes behind him, and unseen by him, discovers her face to Don Diego.
My sister!
Aside.
But what do I behold? It is Donna Isabella. This is the most extraordinary event.
Don Cosmo aside.
By St. Anthony, I believe he's afraid of me. If by good luck he should be a coward. Well, sir, do you intend to stand all night shilly-shally?
Martin aside.
This fool is enough to make us all crazy.
Don Luis looking out.
I know less than ever what to think of it.
If you don't choose to fight me, I desire you will let me know so much, for I am weary of holding my sword idle.
Don Diego aside.
I know not what to do. I cannot bear that he should think I put up with an injury, even though I know that he has done me none. I must give him some answer which may serve for all.
Don Cosmo aside.
A most valiant brother-in-law I am like to have.
Don Cosmo, you are at present under a very great mistake. That lady, whose veil so closely hides her from your view, is not my sister, as you imagine, nor is she a person who I can by any means resign to you. Wherefore, if you attempt to see her face, this sword shall prevent it.
Draws and places himself before Donna Isabella. Don Cosmo aside.
Well, to be sure, this fellow has a mind I should split my sides with laughing. A cunning dog. He pretends that she is not his sister, to excuse himself from fighting for her. But fight he shall, that I am determined, now that I see he has no stomach to it. Don Diego, plain speaking is a jewel in all cases. Your sister, though you won't allow that it is she who stands there listening to us, is my intended. And as I had a mind to talk the matter over with her this evening, I had a ladder fastened up to her balcony.
Don Luis looking out.
What do I hear? The ladder then belonged to this fool? Ah, traitress!
Donna Anna looking out.
Can my pride submit to a mortification like this?
And so, as I was saying, when I saw the door standing wide open, I liked to come in that way better. But now, sir, I must tell you that the seeing you so wonderfully peaceable in this affair has almost made me sick of such a brother-in-law, for I am a man of mighty nice honour. And therefore, sir, do you mark me, since I don't choose to disparage my family by undermatching myself, if you won't cut my throat, the devil take me if I marry your sister.
Exit. Don Diego about to follow him.
Hold.
Stay, Don Diego. Would you sacrifice me?
Can any human patience bear this? You then, Donna Isabella. But how can all this have happened? You in my house at this hour?
My unhappy fortune, Don Diego, has obliged me to throw myself upon your honor for protection. Nor can you refuse it to me, since it is through you that I am exposed to the most frightful dangers.
Have I brought you into any danger?
Yes, for after your departure, when I would have returned to my apartment, terrified as you know I already was, my brother rushed out of the house with his sword drawn, pale with fury, and uttering the most alarming threats, upon which Inez and I concealed ourselves in the porch by the garden gate, whence we were presently afterwards obliged to fly into the street. It was then that, finding myself totally destitute of any other resource, I collected sufficient resolution to come hither, to tell you the situation to which your too rash love has reduced me. But I had scarcely entered when my brother also arrived. Of what has since passed, you have been a witness.
You have no reason to afflict yourself, or to give way to this despondency. I am engaged to protect you, lovely Isabella, by the most inviolable motives, and therefore, till this affair can be properly settled, you shall remain lodged in my sister's apartment.
Donna Ana, looking out.
This was the only vexation left for me to suffer.
Pardon me, Don Diego. The first point I must insist on is that Donna Ana may not see me, nor be made acquainted with my adventure.
Why not?
An affair like this ought to be concealed from everybody.
But my sister ought to give you...
Not on any account, Don Diego.
Donna Ana, looking out.
I am obliged to her, however, for the refusal.
Donna Isabella, aside.
My enemy shall not have this triumph over me.
If the hour were earlier, I would conduct you to a convent, where you might certainly be placed with the most propriety, till I could be made happy by receiving your hand. But at this time of night it is impossible, nor can I think of any other expedient than that of applying to Don Lewis for the use of his apartment. He is the only friend in whom I could place such a confidence, and I am certain that he would pay you the utmost respect, and that under his roof you would be secure from every insult.
I am the guardian of my own honor, sir, but my fortunes are henceforth united with yours, and if you think the measure you propose to me a proper one, I can have no reason to object to it. Only it must be on the condition that your friend shall not know who I am.
You may safely rely upon the caution with which my love shall inspire me.
Aside.
This blockhead's ladder, however, troubles me strangely, and though my sister's good conduct and discretion, but I shall have time enough afterwards to inquire into that affair. The present business is of the most immediate importance. Come then, madam.
I attend you.
Martin, do you follow me?
Excellent Don Diego, Donna Isabella, and Inez.
So at last my master may get off. I thought they would have kept him here all night. However, enough has passed in his hearing to furnish food for his jealousy. My fear is that this same fool will make fools of us all round, for I do believe he will rob me of my Juana. And such an unlucky varlet am I that in the midst of all my troubles I cannot even obtain from the cruel stars a spare quarter of an hour to finish my soliloquy.
Exit. Don Luis and Donna Ana coming forward.
I will depart without seeing her.
Don Luis, whither are you going?
Aside.
I am overwhelmed with this last disgrace.
Good night, Donna Ana.
Hear me.
You have an uncommon share, madam, either of confidence or resolution, since you are desirous of exposing yourself to the reproaches of the man whom you have wronged.
My patience is too much insulted. Is it possible you can mortify me so far as to take in this serious light the absurd action of an idiot?
I wish, madam, I were a little easier of belief, that your eloquence might meet with the success it deserved. But really, I am not.
You had better go no farther, sir, for I much fear lest I should be provoked to answer you with a warmth of which I might afterwards repent. The rashness of this madman may be chastised by
whom, madam?
By my brother who has witnessed it, or by myself who alone am very capable of finding a remedy for all.
A remedy? Is your reputation, then, madam, of such a nature that you deem after remedies sufficient for its conservation?
Do you suppose, sir, that I was apprised of this fool's attempt beforehand?
Let me go. Do not oblige me to say any more upon this subject.
And if I had expected this idiot, should I have invited you? To what purpose should I have invited you? Would that have been the expedient to which I should have recourse for the concealment of my crime?
And would this idiot have presumed to visit you thus, if your former conduct had not afforded him encouragement for such infamous attempts?
You would do well, Don Louis, to consider to whom it is that you are speaking.
Would you have me consider it and retain my senses? Good night, Donna Anna.
I have forgotten too far what I owe myself in detaining you so long.
And what then have I done in listening to you?
I refer my justification to time. You will hereafter know how much you have wronged me.
To time? It is well, madam. Do you suppose, then, that my jealousy is to inspire me with patience?
Your impatience at present, sir, is easy to be accounted for. You have heard that your mistress is lodged in your apartment.
Ridiculous! But it is a sign that your excuses fail you, when you have recourse to such absurdities as these. Away! Leave me!
Leave you? Mighty well, sir, I do leave you, and I leave you so entirely that you never shall see me more.
I see you. May ruin fall on me, if ever I attempt it.
And on me, if I ever consent to it.
What? Have you sworn?
Did you not swear first?
Don Luis aside.
Courage, my heart. Fail me not till this is over.
Donna Anna aside.
How could I have the resolution to determine so precipitately?
Don Luis aside.
I see her again.
Donna Anna aside.
I seek to detain him any longer. But consider, sir.
Have you any commands, madam?
Oh, no, I would only remind you of the oath you have taken.
You do well. Adieu. But hear me, madam.
What would you say?
If I called you back, it was only to remind you that I never swear in vain.
Donna Anna aside.
Is this love? Am I ready to expire?
Don Luis aside.
Is this her affection? I shall lose my senses.
Donna Anna aside.
Oh, my proud heart, canst thou bear this without breaking?
Exit.
There is my boasted insensibility, while I endure a pang like this.
Exit. End of Act 2. Act 3 of One Fool Makes Many by Antonio de Solis. Translated by Henry Richard Vassall Holland. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Act 3. The Street. Enter Don Cosmo and Juancho.
Can it be possible?
Oh, yes, it is all very certain. I was told of it by one of the neighbours who saw it.
What? Saw Don Diego enter my house last night?
Yes, forsooth. It was Don Diego without any matter of question. and they even say it is he that has run away with my young mistress.
Don Diego presumed to run away with my sister?
To be sure, it was very audacious of him.
Don Diego?
Ay, truly, Don Diego.
You astonish me infinitely. I should never have supposed he had had spirit enough.
I should not tell you if I did not know it for certain.
Don't I look very red?
Not that I see.
Nor yellow?
Not at all.
I believe you lie, sirrah. Then I must be pale.
I don't perceive that you are.
Nor dark green?
By no means.
Then in what shape does my fury make its appearance? Is it possible that you don't see flames darting from my eyes?
No, indeed. You look just for all the world the same as you did before I told you the news. I don't see that your anger has made the least change to any feature of your face.
Doubtless because it has too much occupation in my heart. I think I will blow up the fire of my indignation a little more. Is it possible that such a thing as this can have happened? Don Diego run away with my sister? Upon my word, I am not at all pleased with Don Diego.
Not pleased? I don't believe you can be much displeased if you talk about it with such indifference as that.
Blockhead! If I say that I am not pleased, is not that tantamount to a declaration that I will annihilate whatever does not please me? Do you suppose I don't intend to cut Don Diego's throat? Go away directly to the next sexton, and bid him dig a grave for Don Diego. Nay, for all the Diegos the sun shines upon between the poles. For, without any farther to do, for the sake of this one malefactor, I am going to set out this very morning and murder more than 4,000 Don Diegos, without reckoning women and children.
Ay, now you take up the matter as you ought to do.
What? Is there any change in my complexion now? But I don't believe you can perceive it, because all the colors of the rainbow succeed one another in my face so rapidly that no single shade can stay there long enough to make much show. Juancho, you are my countryman, and of course you know as well as anybody what belongs to an affair of honor. Whereupon I appoint you my privy councillor in this business. Now then, let us suppose that I spy Don Diego coming down the street. I place myself in a proper posture to receive him. Thus. He thinks to dissemble with me, but I know better than to be taken in, so I walk up to him thus. Do you mark me? With a very valiant air, and look at him fiercely thus. He pulls off his hat to me, and with that I tell him that he lies.
What? If he says nothing?
To be sure.
That would be too outrageous.
It is always my nature to give up a plan, when I see my friends don't approve it. Well then, suppose I see him coming. What if I draw my sword and make a lunge at him and say, "Traitor, resign my sister or thy life"?
You would not do that, to be sure.
Ay, but I would, though, and so incontinently run him through the body without giving him a moment's time to look about him.
Oh, that would not be at all the thing.
I think it would be a very good thing now to finish the battle before he had so much as thought of beginning it.
I am surprised you should not know better what are the forms upon these occasions. You ought to walk up to him with all the composure imaginable, and say to him very civilly, "Sir, I expect you to meet me in such a place, at such an hour, with such and such weapons."
I don't like that way at all. How do you imagine I am to be composed and in a fury all at the same time? Why, such a suppression of colour as you talk of might throw me into a dangerous fever. However, if it must be so, patience. I shall have time enough to kill him afterwards. Therefore do you wait here, while I go to yonder shop, and write a challenge which you shall carry to him.
You had better deliver it by word of mouth.
No, I can't so well trust myself to do that, for if he should seem very contrite, perhaps he might move me to pity. I can be much more bloody-minded upon paper.
Well, but I should not much like if the paper should make him bloody-minded too, and he should make so free as to run the bearer of it through the body, to bring his hand into practice for the writer.
Why, you dog, you would not desire to be better off than your master. Come hither. Would it be proper, think you, that I should expose myself to the danger of his making me some impertinent answer, as he might do, if I went to challenge him in person, which might provoke me to break through all rules and kill him on the spot? No, no, do as I bid you, and pluck up a good spirit, as you see me do. And if he does run you through the body, never mind it, for you know that you have me for your friend.
Exit.
Oh, that I should be debased by serving such an ass. I am sure the good opinion that fools have of themselves in this world is a very enviable thing. They are just as well satisfied with venting their own idle conceits as wise men could be with uttering the gravest sentences.
Enter Juana with a letter in her hand.
Here have I been racing about the streets for these 2 hours in search of Don Luis to give him this letter from my mistress. But I see Juancho. My letter may go into my sleeve then for the present, for I believe I have a chance of more money in this other business than ever will be paid me for the postage of it.
Hides the letter.
Juancho!
Ah, Juana. Good morning to you.
Where is your master?
Yonder he goes, looking like a soul in purgatory. Well, my girl, what news do you bring us now?
The news is that our house is turned upside down, that Don Diego has been out all night and is not yet come home, that my mistress is in a desperate taking about the ladder that was found at her window, and that I deny all knowledge of the matter with so good a grace that I can hardly help believing my own tale.
That is the very perfection of lying.
Juana aside.
Ha! I see Don Luis walking down that street. He seems in a great hurry. I must run after him with my mistress's letter. Goodbye to you.
Where are you going?
I am coming back again directly.
You must not go yet, for my master will be here this moment.
I can't stay just now.
I protest I won't let you go.
Holding her.
Here's fine work. I shall not be hindered by you, saucebox.
Struggling.
Won't you hear what I have to say to you?
Juana disengaging herself from him and dropping the letter.
I'll not hear another word from such a clown.
Exit.
Was there ever such a gypsy? I cannot think what she could have spied on a sudden, that she was in this haste to be gone. But she has dropped a paper here.
Picks up the letter.
I wish I could read it. To be sure, though, it must be a letter of her mistress's. I dare say she was carrying it to my master, for the first thing she said was to ask where he was. Odds heart, what a lucky fellow I am. Letters of this sort are always well paid for. And now I shall come in for the reward, and not that jade there.
Enter Don Cosmo with a letter.
Well, my little Juancho, here is the challenge. I have called him as many hard names as my paper will hold, so now he must fight me if he be a man, and if he be none, he may let it alone.
We'll talk about that presently. But first, please to tell me what I shall have if I give you... But I won't say how glad you will be to see it.
Glad to see it? Tell me this very moment what it is you are going to give me.
No, forsooth. Not till I know what it is that you're going to give me.
That depends upon the value of what I receive from you.
What think you of a letter?
I'll bet a ducat it is from Donna Anna.
You would bet more, methinks, if you were in a humour to give much.
Here, will this content you?
Gives money and receives the letter.
How transported I am with this happiness!
So you may well say.
Where did you get the letter?
From Juana.
Charming paper. Ere I peruse thy contents, let my lips... But stay, here comes Don Luis. Now then, my lad, I'll pay you a second time for the pleasure you have given me.
How so?
You're a fool. Listen a while, and you shall see.
Enter Don Luis and Martin. Don Luis to Martin.
I cannot find Don Diego.
Martin to Don Luis.
His servants tell me he has been out since daybreak.
He wanted to persuade me last night to take a bed at his house, that his lady might have mine to herself, but I chose rather to go to sleep at an inn. I was unwilling to give him unnecessary trouble. I believe, too, I wished to fly from Donna Anna.
Don Luis, you are very happily met.
Don Cosmo!
Aside.
What? Have I not things enough to plague me, unless this fool be added to the number?
Don Luis, my good friend, a word with you.
What have you to say to me?
Sir, I have been injured, and I know very well who it is that has done me the injury. Don Diego is the man, and so here I have been writing him a challenge, and as you are the friend of both parties, I expect that you will deliver it to him in his very beard.
Offers Donna Anna's letter. Don Luis aside.
He chooses his messenger well. Don Cosmo, since you are pleased to assign me so extraordinary a commission, I will certainly deliver your letter.
Takes the letter.
But when Don Diego shall meet you in the field, you must not be surprised if you see me with him as his second.
Are you in jest? Why would you not come 2 against 1?
You may bring a second likewise if you choose.
I'll find out some devilish fierce fellow, then, who will see that I am not ill-used. Good morning to you, sir. We shall meet again tomorrow, provided we are all alive. Come, my little Juancho, have I not paid you a second time for the letter, by excusing you from so dangerous an errand?
Exeunt Don Cosmo and Juancho.
I never met with so superlative an ass.
He is rather silly, to be sure, yet you, of all men, need not undervalue his genius when you find that he has had wit enough to steal away your mistress from you.
Don't talk of that. I do not wish to be reminded of it. It makes me half mad to think of the latter.
And so it does me not to be able to meet with Juana. Methinks she and I between us might finish rarely my last night's soliloquy.
Enter Don Diego.
My friend, Don Luis.
Don Diego!
I have been waiting at the end of the street till that fool should leave you. What did he want with you? What was he talking about so long? His sister's situation fills me with anxiety. However, I have obtained a license for her admission into a convent, where she may remain in safety till all these matters can be settled.
I have a famous story to tell you about Don Cosmo. Do you know he intends to fight you?
Why, has he found out that I was concerned in the flight of Donna Isabella?
Really, I cannot tell, but he has just given me a challenge to deliver to you, and a pretty composition it must be. Let us have a laugh at it before we fall to cutting throats.
I meant to have called on him for an explanation of his intrusion into my house last night, and I only delayed it till I should have placed his sister in the convent. But since he is thus beforehand with me, pray let me see his letter.
Don Luis gives the letter.
You must take care, gentlemen, that you do not split your sides over such a piece of eloquence.
You must let me first look it over by myself, that I may afterwards be able to do it proper justice in reading it to you.
Aside.
But what do I see? My sister's hand. My senses fail me.
Don Luis aside to Martin.
Come hither, Martin. Do not you observe that Don Diego seems very strangely agitated by this letter?
Martin aside to Don Luis.
His face has grown a mile longer since he opened it.
Don Luis aside to Martin.
And how oddly he looks round at me.
Don Diego aside.
It is impossible. My sister write thus to Don Luis? I will read it again, for I know not how to believe my eyes.
Martin aside to Don Luis.
See, he is beginning again at the very top of the paper.
Don Diego aside, reading.
Don Luis, if I remember rightly, you made last night a silly vow that you would never attempt to see me, and in the apprehension that you may be rash enough to break it, under some such insipid excuse as that he cannot be said to see me who blindly pursues me, I shall go this evening disguised to Leganitos on purpose to avoid you, and I send you this notice that you may know which road you ought to take to keep out of my way. You will do well likewise to engage my brother to follow you at a distance, under pretence that you are involved in some affair in which you may have occasion to call on him for assistance, since otherwise he may discover my absence from home, which would be very inconvenient to me, and might be no less so to yourself, if you should be less careful to shun me than I expect. Farewell. Heavens and earth, this blow, which fortune has reserved for me, is one of those which wound the soul in its tenderest part. My sister correspond thus clandestinely with Don Luis? Don Luis, the friend of my heart, with my sister? He has given me this letter, mistaking it for Don Cosmo's. What shall I do? An injury like this might justify the wildest excesses to which my anger could transport me. But were it the fittest way to re-establish my honour, to render public the stain it had received? No, rather let silence cover the feelings of my breast, till I shall have learned from my sister herself the extent of the wrongs I have sustained. I will go instantly to seek her, and I will restrain my fury till her full avowal shall have authorized the vengeance I shall take. Don Luis, I have an affair of importance which requires my instant attendance. Adieu.
Do you think that I shall part with you thus? Why, I told that ass when he gave me the challenge that he might provide himself with a second, since I intended to be yours. And now would you leave me here and go alone to meet him?
Let it satisfy you to be assured that I am not at present going to meet Don Cosmo, and that, if a duel shall prove the necessary consequence of this letter, I give you my word of honour to call on you.
I cannot suffer you to leave me.
Nor would I leave you if I could avoid it.
I will follow you, whether you permit me or not.
You dispute this matter with me in vain.
Am I not your friend?
I will answer that question as soon as I shall have cleared up a doubt, which at present forbids me to indulge a too implicit confidence.
Exit.
Heyday, what can this mean?
I don't understand a word of the matter. I think it means nothing good, however.
What can Don Cosmo have written, thus to irritate him?
The zany must certainly have wonderful skill in penning a challenge if he can make it so desperately provoking.
I will follow him at a distance, but 'sdeath, here comes Don Cosmo again.
And he is beckoning to you most impetuously to stay to speak with him.
Enter Don Cosmo.
No, I am not mistaken. My good friend Don Luis.
What do you want with me now, sir?
You see me in the greatest consternation. Just now, did you ever hear of anything so unlucky? When I thought, Don Luis, that I had given you a challenge to carry to my enemy, instead of that I gave you a billet doux from a lady, which I had that very moment received. Here is the letter I wished to send. Let me have the other back.
You had better have made this discovery a little sooner. The letter is already in Don Diego's possession.
What is it you tell me? Was there ever such a misfortune?
What is there so terrible in it?
Death and the devil.
Why, Don Cosmo.
The sky has fallen upon my head.
What do you mean?
Zounds, sir, what would you have me mean? Why, the letter was from his own sister.
His sister?
Aye, that's the very thing.
Are you sure it was his sister?
As sure as you stand there.
That wrote to you?
Is there anything so wonderful in that?
His sister?
Do you suppose it was the moon, then?
I confess that this surpasses my expectation.
Well, but let me go, Don Luis, to save her from the drubbing this is likely to bring upon her. I suppose this Don Diego will be wanting to make me marry her, but I'll be hanged if he shall fob me off with any woman for a wife after he has beaten her black and blue.
Exit.
Have you heard this, Martin?
This is worse and worse.
I am petrified. What he has told me must certainly be true. The letter is Donna Anna's, beyond all doubt, for Don Diego's agitation, his refusal to discover to me the cause of his trouble, and his haste to escape from me, are all indications. But do I talk of indications? Rather let me say irrefragable proofs that this ungrateful woman loves Don Cosmo, and carries on a correspondence with him. Who could have thought it? Who could have believed that a woman so beautiful, of so excellent an understanding, so high a spirit, would have made so bad a choice?
So bad a one, do you call it? Not so bad, perhaps, as you suppose. I remember when I was a little tiny boy, I used to hear my mother say that a husband could not be too great a fool, for then his wife might play what tricks she pleased, and he be never the wiser.
Leave me. I am out of my senses, and disposed for any desperate attempt. No, come with me, and let us seek Don Diego.
Just as you choose. I am sure this fool has turned the heads of us all. I believe in my conscience that this one Biscayner would be enough to drive common sense out of 10 Castiles.
Excellent. Don Luis's house. Enter Donna Isabella and Inez with her mistress's veil.
Put on my veil this instant, Inez. Make haste.
Where are you going, then?
Ask me no questions. I will have it so.
Do you consider how much you have at stake?
Cease these vain remonstrances, Inez. It is no longer time for them. And if you had any sense, you would know that counsels were always thrown away upon those whose state of mind would only permit them to listen to their passions. In my confusion last night, I made no objection to Don Diego's proposal to bring me hither. But farther reflection has convinced me how improper it is that I should remain in Don Luis's apartments after all which has formerly passed. And therefore, since Don Diego stays away from me so long, I have determined to seek another asylum. I may find some female friend.
And will you not allow me to represent to you that when Don Diego returns...
You shall go to him to explain my conduct.
And in the meantime...
How provoking you are! Fetch your veil, and don't talk to me any more.
Exit Inez. Don Cosmo without.
May I come in?
Heavens! My brother's voice!
Covers herself with her veil. Enter Don Cosmo.
If nobody will answer me, but whom have we here? A lucky encounter. Pray, madam, can you tell me whether I may speak with Don Luis? But why do you hide your face so? You need not take such pains to conceal yourself from me, for upon my honour, madam, I am a man that you may trust. What, is not your veil close enough yet?
Donna Isabella aside.
Heaven protect me.
Your being in Don Lewis's apartment is sufficient to oblige me to treat you with the greatest respect. He and I live together like two brothers. I must needs say, however, that if you are a pretty girl, you are the first who ever concealed her beauty so carefully. But since you won't show me your face, I don't suppose it can be much worth seeing. But won't you at least tell me, madam, whether my good friend Don Lewis is at home or not?
Donna Isabella aside.
What can I do? If I speak, I betray myself at once.
You are deaf, it's my belief.
Enter Inez veiled.
Madam, my veil.
Here comes another.
Mercy upon me.
Draws her veil closer. Donna Isabella aside.
How shall I escape this danger?
What? Does this one pull down her veil too? Surely I have heard her voice somewhere before. Woman, who art thou? Nay, dost thou fly me? I swear then thou shalt not escape me.
Inez aside.
I die with terror.
Runs out.
I shall be after you. Excuse me, madam, if I leave you by yourself for a little while. I shall come back to you presently.
Exit pursuing Inez.
I am in a dreadful situation. What can I do? If he discovers Inez, I am lost. I know not to what expedient I can have recourse.
Enter Donna Anna and Juana veiled.
Have I not contrived admirably?
Indeed, you have sent him upon a fine wild goose chase.
I am sure that my letter has led him out into the fields to seek me, and that he has made my brother follow him. And now, while they are both out of the way, I have only to profit by the opportunity of gaining a little private discourse with Isabella. For before I go any farther with this quarrelsome lover of mine, I am determined to know for certain how the case stands between him and that same lady, of whom I have at least as much cause to be jealous as he has of Don Cosmo.
Juana aside.
If she could know that I had lost her letter, and that I never overtook Don Lewis. But I make it a rule never to tell tales of myself.
Donna Isabella aside.
I am so much troubled that I scarcely know whether I am awake or in a dream.
Oh, here she is. Come, Juana. I am going to speak with her. Donna Isabella?
Raising her veil.
How, Donna Anna? You here?
I do not wonder whether you are surprised to see me.
Donna Isabella aside.
He will certainly kill me if he overtakes Inez.
But do not let my visit distress you.
Donna Isabella aside.
Merciful heavens, what will become of me?
Without any long preface.
Donna Isabella aside.
My terror increases every instant.
Permit me to have a little conversation with you. But, Juana, do you go to the door and watch?
You may depend upon my vigilance.
Exit.
Although you may esteem my present action indiscreet, and although in women of our rank love is certainly a very insufficient excuse, but you seem agitated.
No wonder if I am, for I am exposed to the most terrible calamities.
If you are troubled at finding that your situation is known to me, you may comfort yourself by the reflection that my own conduct leaves me no right to reproach yours.
Alas, my dear friend, it is not that which troubles me.
What is it, then?
The most imminent danger that imagination can represent to you.
Heavens! What can have happened?
Ah me, he is just coming. I must try to hide myself.
Whither are you going? Stay!
Since you also are a woman, you cannot unmoved behold me perish. Therefore, but I must fly. Do what you think best.
Stay only to explain yourself.
I cannot.
Will you not tell me what you would have me do for you?
Circumstances will show you.
Exit. Enter Don Cosmo.
Deuce take that woman! She has shut herself up in the very farthest room in the whole house, and faith, my feet itch to kick the door down. But what do I see? Donna Anna! Bless me, madam! Was it you that would not speak to me just now?
Donna Anna aside.
What does this mean? How provoking! I am covered with confusion.
Why would you not let me have a peep at that pretty face of yours before? But by the by, madam, pray, how came you into this house?
What shall I do? His sister had reason enough to be frightened.
Might not you, as well, give me some sort of answer?
He must have found Isabella here in her veil, and now takes me for the same person.
I suppose you have had some persecution from your brother about the letter you wrote me. You had better tell me the whole story. What, had he any thoughts of murdering you for my sake, that you made this elopement?
I write you a letter, sir. I do not understand you.
Don Cosmo aside.
It will be my best way now to tell her a piece of my mind at once, that she mayn't take it into her head to make such expeditions as this in the future. Come hither, Donna Anna. I desire you will tell me whether you think it becoming for a woman who aspires to be my wife to come wandering about to bachelors' houses. I promise you that, in my mind, your proceeding in this manner is a very bad manner of proceeding. What would all my great-grandfathers and grandmothers say if I were to choose them a street-walker for their daughter-in-law? They would come, more than 4,000 mendiatas of them. Heaven rest their precious souls, for I hope they are all in paradise, and throw themselves in a body at the king's feet to entreat him to save them from such a disgrace.
Donna Anna aside.
As if it were not enough to be disappointed in my schemes, I must have this fool to make me mad. But Donna Isabella must have escaped by this time. I need not stay here any longer.
What? Are you going away? Why, I have not half finished my lecture. I'm resolved you should stay to hear it out. In the first place, then—
What do you mean, sir? Are you in your senses? Do you know to whom it is you are speaking? Or have you a mind to show me that your impertinence is equal to your folly?
That's fine treatment, truly. Why, you could not use me worse if you caught me in the chamber of some other lady.
Away!
I shan't be long in finishing my discourse to you.
Was there ever so insufferable a fool?
I believe the devil is in you, that you won't hear what I have to say, when it would be all for your own good.
You don't consider that it is almost night, and that I must make haste home before my brother can—
Enter Juana.
Oh, madam!
Whom have we here?
Quick, make haste! Don Lewis is coming, and he is so near already that you cannot get out without meeting him.
Alas, alas, what can be done now?
Let us hide ourselves quickly within there.
You're right. Make haste in.
Exit Juana.
What is all this about? I insist upon it, madam, that you do not hide yourself.
Holds her back.
Why not?
Because I don't think it decent.
Consider—
I say you shall do no such thing. I never hid myself in all my life, and what is not fitting for me cannot be fitting for my mistress.
Juana!
There is no Juana here.
Only reflect that it is.
It may be as it will.
Let me go.
I swear you shall stay here.
Donna Anna closes her veil. Enter Don Luis.
I cannot find Don Diego anywhere. Surely he must have returned hither to conduct his mistress to her convent. But what do I see? Don Cosmo here? The devil he is! And there is his sister Isabella. How unlucky is this!
Coming forward.
Don Cosmo, hold! What are you doing?
I am hindering this woman from going to hide herself.
But when you meet a veiled lady in my house—
And what need I care whose house it is, when it was to meet me that she came into it?
Dona Ana aside.
This is the most provoking thing that has happened yet.
Don Luis aside.
I perceive he does not know who she is.
Don Cosmo aside to Don Luis.
She was obliged to come here for shelter, on account of some certain untoward accidents which befell her. But I am very angry with her. I wish you would do me a good office. Go up to her and accost her as if you knew nothing at all of the matter, and tell her roundly that I am in the right, and that it is her duty to mind what I say to her. Do now, and I will stand here at a distance, and wait till you give me the nod.
Don Luis aside.
This will afford me an excellent opportunity to consult with Donna Isabella how we may get rid of this brother of hers. Don Cosmo, since you desire me, I will say all I can to persuade her.
I always knew that you were my friend. Be sure now you give her a good dressing, and make haste about it.
Walks aside. Dona Ana aside.
What can they be consulting about?
Lovely Donna Isabella.
He does not know me. So far so well.
I am infinitely grieved, madam, at the disasters which have befallen you. But since what has passed cannot now be retrieved, the most essential thing at present is to contrive some means of extricating you from the unpleasant situation in which you are placed.
Now if he should make love to me, mistaking me for my rival, my vexations would be complete.
You may be surprised that I speak to you in behalf of Don Diego, when I had myself a prior interest in your affections. But friendship and honor forbid me to hesitate to resign to him your hand, of which he is much more worthy than I am. This, however, is not a time for such discussions. Your brother does not appear to know you. Consider what I can say to engage him to quit you. Are you silent? Won't you answer me? What does this mean, madam?
Now do I forgive Fortune all the tricks she has played on me, and I owe to her this deliverance from my jealous fears?
Don Cosmo coming up to them.
What? Is she obstinate still? Come away, Don Luis, and leave her to herself. If her ladyship chooses to give herself airs, much good may it do her.
We had better both retire, for it would be unpolite to press her any further.
No, she shall ask my pardon first, I promise her. I don't believe you know who she is all this while. Why, it is Donna Ana.
Who, do you say?
Donna Ana.
Who?
Why can't you hear me? I say, that is Donna Ana. Don't you believe me?
It is impossible.
Nay, then, Don Luis, I swear you shall see with your own eyes that I tell you nothing more than the truth. I'll make her show you her face, if it puts her in ever such a passion.
Hold.
Catches his arm.
Let go my arm.
Dona Ana aside.
What will become of me now?
I tell you, I will make her pull her veil off.
You must not.
Enter Juana.
Madam, your brother.
Hummy.
Nay, it must out. Don Diego. I saw him from the balcony.
There, do you see now? Is this Donna Ana, or is this not Donna Ana?
Is not there witchcraft in this? It is she. Amazement.
Bah! The maid's coming in was as good as pulling off her veil.
I shall die with vexation.
To Don Luis.
Don Luis, you will see me in the utmost distress.
Unveiling herself.
And heaven knows that it was for your sake. Don Luis, I call upon your honor to protect an unhappy woman, who to obtain the satisfaction of her jealous doubts. But here he comes. Haste, Juana.
Exeunt Dona Ana and Juana.
What was it she said to you?
Leave me alone. I know nothing about it.
Aside.
This only was wanting to provoke me, that she should call on me for protection, that she should pretend it was for my sake she had thrown herself away. Ah, woman, woman, woman all over.
Enter Don Diego and Martin.
Did your master say that he should return to his own apartment to seek me there?
Yes, but it is growing late now.
I have thrown away this whole evening in keeping watch at Leganitos, and have found nobody at last. But is not that Don Luis, and with him Don Cosmo?
Don Cosmo aside.
Now, if he will not give me back my sister upon the spot, I shall consider his a lawful prize.
Don Diego aside.
I had better settle this business at once. It shall be so. Martin, go and wait without.
Exit Martin.
Don't think to hold me, Don Luis.
Consider what it is you risk.
I know how to deal with him. Now mark me, and you shall see how I will discuss this matter as an allegory. Don Diego, such is the nature of the human understanding that it finds no surer method of obtaining knowledge than by asking questions. Whereupon, I am going to put a question to you. There was once upon a time a man, and he had a sister, and this said sister she had a brother. And so this sister fell in love with another brother, and he had another sister. And one day what should she do but take it into her head to run away with him? So then, after that, the brother, from whom the sister had been stolen, stole the sister of the thief. Now, will you be pleased to tell us whether it would be best, in such a case, that each man should have his own again, or that each should keep what belonged to his neighbour?
Don Cosmo, we will leave these digressions to another opportunity, and instead of wasting words at present, let us come at once to the point. I have found you two gentlemen together. I will therefore talk with you both on the subject which occasions me the greatest uneasiness. But first, Don Cosmo, I must tell you that your sister is already my wife. The manner in which she became mine might, perhaps, in some degree, be reprehensible, but that she is such cannot displease you, when you consider my rank and fortune. Thus your complaint against me falls to the ground. To proceed, then, to another affair, I cannot suppose that Don Luis is ignorant of a circumstance to which his servant was witness. Wherefore, sir, in his presence, I require you to tell me whether the ladder, which was placed last night against my house, had been placed there by you.
Don Cosmo aside.
A good question, that. Do you suppose there is any doubt to be made about it?
Then what was your intention in so rashly presuming to scale my window?
To brother it with your sister, to be sure, as you did with mine.
You are so incapable of comprehending the impropriety of the kind of language which you choose to adopt, that I think it superfluous to remind you to whom you are speaking, and on how delicate a subject.
Well then, go on with your interrogatories.
By whom were you assisted in your attempt?
Why, who the devil should have assisted me but love, a waiting maid, and a purse of doubloons?
Did my sister know anything of it?
Ugh!
What do you say?
Let me alone.
Speak.
You ask too many questions.
I insist upon being satisfied on this point.
The thing is plain enough without my telling you. If your sister had known of it, do you think I should have taken the trouble to go in at the window, when I might have got her to open the door for me? No, indeed. She is so devilish proud and cross-grained that I had enough to do to pluck up the courage to visit her at all. And when I was in the house, I felt frightened out of my wits to think how she would scold me when she saw me there.
Don Luis, though I was myself very certain that this was the real state of the case, I was willing that you should hear it from the mouth of Don Cosmo.
Could you suppose, then, my friend, that when your honour, that I should entertain any doubt?
Nothing of that nature was my meaning. Listen to me. I am your friend, and therefore, before I proceed to what I think it incumbent on me to say, I have been desirous that such an explanation should take place as might justify the proposal I am about to make to you, and convince you that your honour is dearer to me than I fear mine has been to you. It is very well known to you, Don Luis, that my sister has much the advantage of you in point of fortune, and is not in any other respect your inferior. This very day she must become your wife, and I am sorry you have so conducted matters that an offer which ought to have appeared to you the highest mark of my friendship should now from my lips sound rather like a reproach.
Don Diego!
Aside.
Heavens, what a perplexity! I cannot speak to him.
Don Cosmo, aside.
I think it will be best for me to leave them to themselves. We shall see what this fellow will say to the offer, and then...
What answer do you give me?
Do not wonder, Don Diego.
Can I do otherwise than wonder that you thus hesitate to reply? A hesitation, sir, on a subject like this can be received in no other way than sword in hand. Thus, then...
Lays his hand upon his sword.
Forbear. If once you draw it forth, it will be too late for further parley. Your sister is engaged. What then do you require from me?
Engaged? To whom?
Why, to me, to be sure. And so you need not fall to cutting of throats for what belongs to another man, and is no bread and butter of yours.
What does this mean?
And now, Don Diego, let me tell you that I think I am not without some grounds of complaint against you, since when I myself, through a mistake, so lately put into your hands a letter which your sister had written to Don Cosmo, you can propose that I should marry a woman who favors...
Hold! While you are losing your temper, I have recovered mine. This, Don Luis, is the letter which you put into my hands. Read it, and judge what foundation I have given you for these reproaches.
Heavens! What am I to understand by this?
Take it, for so great is my consideration for you that I wish your feelings to be satisfied, even at the expense of my own.
Gives the letter.
Now, sir, to whom is that letter addressed? I presume from the contents that it is not the first time you have seen my sister's hand. Does it move you? Whom do you now believe to be the object of her favour?
Ay, sir. Now that you have got the letter, you may see with your own eyes how far the lady carries her partiality for me. That was the very identical piece of paper which I gave to Don Luis in place of a challenge, which I meant he should carry to a certain friend of mine.
Can this be real? Or is it not rather some dream, some illusion? But how could such a letter as this fall into the hands of Don Cosmo?
Are you satisfied now, Don Luis? Come, come, I know you are by this time sensible that your conduct towards me has not been altogether such as from our long-tried friendship I might have expected. But on that subject let us speak no more. It better becomes men of our condition to repair errors like this than to seek excuses for them.
And yet, Don Diego, it might be some palliation of my conduct to tell you that I had loved Donna Anna before I knew she was your sister, and that afterwards the blindness of a passion which I had indulged with the most honourable views.
Enough, Don Luis. Any further excuse would be superfluous. I demand nothing more of you than the remedy of what has passed.
Since then I am so fully satisfied with regard to the latter and to this note, and since I am convinced it is your own wish that I should on every point be equally sincere, let me desire you will ask Don Cosmo whether I myself, but a few minutes before your entrance, do not surprise him in a private conference with your sister.
With my sister?
He tells you nothing more than the plain truth, and you may take my word for it if you won't his.
But how, or where?
Enter Donna Anna, Donna Isabella, Juana, and Inez.
I will answer that question, for I have been listening to the whole of your discourse, and it is time that I should now appear to complete my own justification. Donna Isabella, you cannot refuse now to take my part, and to assist me in vindicating my honour.
Enter Martin and Juancho.
What's to do here, Juancho? I believe the devil has broken loose.
Why, sure enough, here we are, all met together.
Donna Anna in this house?
Yes, you may now perceive, Don Diego, whether or not I deceived you.
Oh, madam sister of mine, you are found too, are you?
It is possible, Don Luis. Suffer me, brother, to speak in my own defence, and if I fail of establishing my innocence, you will not have occasion to seek any other weapon to destroy me than the confusion which will overwhelm me. Is it then possible, Don Luis, that you can be so far prejudiced against me as to imagine that I came to your apartment with any purpose of seeking Don Cosmo, especially since you are not ignorant that I knew I should find his sister here?
You cannot be so blind to common sense as to believe such an absurdity. It was just to visit me that Donna Anna came hither, and she had not been with me 5 minutes when my brother entered, and I fled in terror.
And if you will give that letter a second reading, you will perceive that it was written for the express purpose of sending both you and my brother out of the way while I should make this visit. Thus far may suffice to satisfy Don Luis. To you, Don Diego, I am sensible that my conduct requires further justification. Yet if you condemn my love, let me at least declare to you that it was yourself who by your continual praises of Don Luis first interested my heart in his favour. While he was yet a stranger to me, I esteemed him as your friend, and the high opinion which I had learned from you to entertain of him at least impelled me to embrace an opportunity which accidentally occurred of forming an acquaintance with him. If I have since exceeded the bounds which strict discretion ought to have prescribed, my errors are known to you, and you will determine what remedy may be fittest to apply.
Charming woman, yet tell me but one thing more. By what means could this letter fall into the hands of Don Cosmo?
That question may not be so easily answered, for, to own the truth, I dropped the letter in the street. But I never told my mistress of it, for fear I should be chidden.
Well, if you dropped it in the street I found it, and carried it to my master, because I knew he would pay me for it handsomely.
Ah, rascal! But you need not grin and look so plaguily well pleased at having made a fool of me. For if I did give you money for another man's letter, I'll stop it out of your wages, you scoundrel, and be hanged to you.
Let me entreat you, Don Cosmo, not to say any more upon the subject, for it is your folly which has made fools of us all.
Ay, we may have seen plainly enough the truth of the proverb that one fool makes many.
And now, Don Luis, have you any further scruples, or does the affair require a more private discussion?
No, Don Diego, I cannot possibly now have any wish remaining, but that your sister will deign to accept the hand which love and friendship unite in impelling me to offer her.
You have really been so provoking that I could almost find it in my heart to refuse it out of spite. But I think I won't punish you quite so severely.
Gives him her hand.
And now, Donna Isabella, permit me to claim your hand.
Well, you may all say what you like, but I don't believe that the world will take me for the greatest fool in this company, when they see that I am the only one who escapes without a wife.
Nay, that's more than you can boast of, for here I am, who retain my liberty as well as yourself. And so I think the best use I can make of it will be to go and finish my soliloquy.
End of Act 3. End of One Fool Makes Many by Antonio de Solis, translated by Henry Richard Vassall, Holland.